Anywho, it's been a classless intro. You're welcome. And now we're going to class up the whole thing. We're going to bring it back up by bootstraps. Because we're going to take this low-level, low-brow sense of humor and then turn it into something awesome, fantastic. Because Denver deserves to have a kick-ass show. And nobody kicks more ass than Rachel Miner. No, listen, your lowest brow is still higher than Rob.
I was tempted to never come out and just watch what happened.
Oh, no, it just gets worse. It's like a water slide. You just end up in a pool or something, you know. Let me ask you this. Casual drug use. Are you a big weed person?
No, I'm not. I did in high school. Yeah.
Because in high school, this would have been like your dream town. It's a big thing here. You know. That's the thing. It's totally. Is it legal in our state now? But like, not as legal.
I've been told that I should get a medical license. That is supposed to be one of the,
That's just because we want you practicing medicine. It has nothing to do with weed. Ladies and gentlemen, Rachel Miner.
Amazing. This energy is incredible. Are you having a good start to your convention? Wow. And I don't even need to say louder because I don't know. Can we reach higher decibels? Okay, I can't hear anymore, but that's good. That's amazing. I just came from my meet and greet, and there's a classic thing I do. Some reason I make everyone cry. So apologies to anyone who was there. I love that moment. You guys make me cry. I have like so much love for you, and I turn into a big mush. So love you so much. You're awesome! Perfect. So are we supposed to do questions and stuff now, or? Is there... okay. Is there like a lack of questions happening? Like everyone feels very certain.
I got a little one.
Go ahead.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Very good. I just realized I was supposed to answer that.
Part about playing Meg. Okay, see.
Oh wow, every freaking thing. No, she's so smart and has such an awesome perspective. I love the amount of time she's existed. So it was like nothing small that was going on fazed her. And by small, I mean basically anything that was happening. It was all good. And I thought that was it was such a calming, great place to live in. And actually, it was Ruth Connell and I had a panel recently, and we were talking about playing bad women characters. And there's something very freeing, because I think there's something in our society, especially for young women and girls, where we're made to feel like we have to be careful all the time. And it kind of shrinks us, and we're really worried that we're gonna, perfectly good things, but we're worried we're gonna hurt someone, or we're worried we're gonna say the wrong thing, and whatever. It's really wonderful to play a character who does not worry in the least. Thank Awesome.
Hi, Rachel.
Hey. Oh, over here. Oh, over there. This room is confusing me.
I don't know. There's no room over here to stand.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
It's great to see you.
I know. You
Yes. I love it. Because I've been coming to more of the conventions, you guys are all like old friends. I'm like, oh yes. So what's up? What do you have to ask me today?
So I want to ask, first off, I just absolutely admire how openly positive you are. Even like on moments when, you know, you got a bad day or something, you always find a way to put a positive spin on it. So my question is, I think that there's a lot of us here, and I'm definitely one of them, who struggle with self-image, though, like self-love and things like that. So my question is, like, considering everything that's happened to you, like the fact that, you know, with your life and whatnot, what do you do to maintain that positivity and to remind yourself to love yourself? Because I feel like not just for me, but for so many of us here, we need to learn to love ourselves and be positive even when loads of crap gets stuffed on us, though.
Thank you so much for asking that question.
No problem.
Honestly, I could think of like no more important thing for us to like talk about with each other, because it's not easy, and I don't want it to be like, oh well, I just wake up and I think I'm great and life is sunny. No, it's life is hard, and there's a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of judgment that we're kind of indoctrinated into from a very early age. And oh my goodness, when you can't be perfect, it's really difficult. And who is perfect?
No one.
Exactly. But I guess part of my road in was I always wanted to be able to create good effects in the world and on whoever I was around and so forth. And I found that actually the majority of times that I created bad effects or things I was not pleased with was because I was being so self-critical. And it actually inhibited me from just being able to be present for another person. And so I started to realize that probably the first step that I had to take was to get over myself, to be able to love myself and just feel like enough and not be so introverted and worried about all of my flaws, because that was going to inhibit me from ever being able to connect with another human. So, So yeah, to me, it is the starting point, and it does get easier because you start to retrain your like thought patterns, and so there's just not a lot of room for that negative thought pattern anymore. But it's there. Don't get me wrong. I just get better and better at kind of batting it aside and going like, I don't need your voice here right now. Yeah, so I think that that's super important, and I think there is no way that we can love each other the way we need to if we can't forgive ourselves for our flaws. And so again, it's just a starting point. It's that you can't, like whenever I see someone who's really mean or judgmental or prejudiced or whatever, I go, oh wow, that's got to be a really horrible like place to live in. Because you know they're probably even more judgmental of themselves, and they're just kind of trying to deflect some of that self-hatred and self-judgment on others so that they don't have to feel it so much. So the opposite is, I think that in order to really love and embrace people for who they are, because we're all so different, and we're all so flawed in our own unique ways, and there's a beauty to that, and if we're going to love others for that, we have to first learn to love that in ourselves. So, yeah. That's what I'm saying for now. I hope that works. Does that make sense to you guys? Does that...
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank
we all
you
love
so
you.
much. Love you so much. Yeah.
Hi, Rachel. Hey. So I was just wondering what your favorite thing that you've done for Animax so far is.
Holy moly. It's all of it is the best experience of my life. I mean, I will go to like each project, each thing is so special. So like I was really, I don't know about you guys, but did you see the collective in Rwanda with the woman Olive?
Yes.
Because not only did you see it, but you're probably the ones who put it there. So thank you. But yeah, that moved me beyond. We're getting to just be able to touch each other's lives in that way. Getting to work with this incredible, the whole staff, so we're all volunteering our time. And we're all there just because we believe the world can be a better place, more caring and a kinder place. And so getting to work with people that are coming from that point of view and are doing things that unselfishly is a daily, minute-to-minute reminder of what the world can be. And so that's so freeing in itself. And then the Lydia place, I wish for this campaign, was so moving. Gosh, we've done a lot this year. There's just like campaign after campaign. We have some more stuff that will be coming around the bend, but mostly also helping to build out, we're building out a lot more of the regional representation and local community groups and so forth, and getting to see people connect with other people and look out for them. Like I know I got to help with the start of a group in New York called the Friends of Random Acts group, and then watching them all, I don't get to keep up all the time, but I'll watch like the threads where they're all supporting each other in the most beautiful way, and I know you guys know this because that's this supernatural family way. And just, yeah, that spirit in a world where a lot of us are feeling like really broken by the fact that some people can be as cruel and thoughtless as they can be. It's the exact opposite when you see people can be as selfless and caring and loving toward each other and lift each other up as they can. So, what about you? Do you have anything that's really stuck out to you?
Honestly, just the entire Random Acts organization, I think, is just absolutely beautiful for every single reason that you just mentioned. Like, it's just so incredible to have this reminder that the world isn't entirely evil, no matter how horrible things seem. Just having Random Acts is the reminder that it's not.
Yeah.
Like, and if Random Acts was right before you, you somehow just made it even better. So, thank you so much.
Don't make it sad.
I'm really trying not to start crying because there's nothing that means more to me.
It's
and
okay, I'm right there with you.
It's really, it's seriously, and it's just, it is a reminder because I don't know about all of you guys, but with everything going on in the world and going on in the US and just politically, and it got so dark and I just felt so hopeless. Like, what can I do to make things better? And it is amazing when you realize, hey, wait, just every choice I make on a daily basis decides what this world is going to be. So I get to, for the person that I'm, standing next to in line getting coffee, I get to tell them what the world is. So if I do something that just makes them think, oh, it's a kind and helpful world, as opposed to a cruel, every man for himself kind of world, whatever that is. I think that that's so freeing, and you start to, the more you see that, the more you realize it is truth. It is what we can do. It is our power.
Thank you so much.
I'm getting the best questions. You guys are amazing.
Hi.
Hey.
First of all, welcome to Colorado.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I've always wanted to come, and this is my first time.
Well, that just makes it even more special then. My question is, what do you think Meg got up to in the alternate world?
So much good stuff.
Retreat?
No, I mean, so I am always super excited to see what the writers bring to it, but since the writers haven't been giving me stuff, then my imagination goes wild. One of my favorite things, I really love the Meg-Cass relationship. On so many levels. And yes, Clarence. That is right. My little true top. So I am such a romantic mush, sadly, that I like to think that she was kind of looking after him this whole time. Oh yeah. That somehow she was somewhere where she could look out and like there were like little things she was able to do, like little ways she was able to nudge things so that it might work out for him in different instances. So that's what I like to think she's up to. Yeah. What about you? Do you have a theory?
Oh, I just think she was raised in quite a bit of hell.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you know she was being quite funny. That's a given.
You're awesome.
Hi.
Hey.
Sorry, I'm nervous. This is my first time.
Nothing to apologize for.
First of all, I want to say that I absolutely loved your performance as Meg. You are amazing. And she is one of my favorite characters because of what you brought to it in the role. So my question kind of has to do with like the last question. Do you think there's a chance that we'll see Meg come back, being there's so many characters coming back from the alternate universe?
Well, first of all, thank you, and I agree, Meg was just awesome. And it's a weird thing because it doesn't feel like when you like something, it doesn't, like for me, I guess I don't love myself completely yet. Now, when you like something, it doesn't feel like it's totally mine. I always just felt like I was reading the lines, like that was what was intended. But I'm sure there's like, the way that I interpret her is, unique.
I loved it. I really love your performance.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I just thought she was amazing. And I have no idea. I certainly haven't heard anything if there are any plans to bring her back. But I think, again, like I love watching the show. I love seeing what the writers are going to bring regardless. So I'm always nervous about, like, I don't want it to sound like, oh yeah, I want to get back on the show because I don't care. I'll watch the show, whatever. And I always think it's perfect, whatever they did. I was asked something in my meet and greet, which I actually think is an important point, which is someone was asking me if there was a way I could do it, if I could still stand and stuff, they could still cheat it. And I was saying, I think it would be really important if I went back, if I was the one, as opposed to them reprising Meg in a new Meet Suit. No. I would really want her to be in a chair. It's something that I've gone through is I realize there's a real lack of representation out there, and it does really make a difference in your life. And I would love to see characters where it's just a thing that's part of their life, because that is for the majority, like there's a large percentage of our population that is completely unrepresented. And we're basically either not part of stories, or we're given two choices. We either get to be the inspirational person who overcomes the odds, or we get to be the victim who sadly, tragically dies, or whatever. And I really want to see more characters where it's just a part of their existence, but they're trying to human the way all of us are, or in Meg's case, demon. What
I thought would be really cool if you came back as the human version of Meg, the girl that Meg possessed.
That's cool.
That would be cool.
I like that. Thank you so much. Hello.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Do you remember me from Pittsburgh?
Yes. How are you? It's good to see you again.
This is my troublemaker. I was telling you about.
So excited. I heard I was going to get to meet you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You like unicorns?
I do like unicorns. That's an excellent question. And I also, the thing I love the best about unicorns is how happy they make other people too. I like things. What was that?
Like cats too?
Yes, I do.
Like Sam's imaginary friend.
It's awesome. But I like things that, especially that make people smile. And so that's why I love unicorns so much, because they usually kind of make people giggle and smile and feel like we're young. Thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful question. More unicorns in the world.
Hi, Rachel.
Hey.
So my question is, what was your favorite line as Meg?
That is a really hard one, because Meg always got the best lines, can I just say?
Yes, she did.
There's so many lines I love because they're funny and smart. I love getting to say, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? I wanted to be Princess Leia for a vast majority of my life. I think my top line is actually not a funny one. I love getting to say, go save your brother and my unicorn. On so many levels, that made me so happy. Especially because it's really rare as a woman. I hope it's less and less rare, but it's really rare to get to be the one to save the day or sacrifice yourself for someone else. And I love how nonchalant Meg was about it. It was just a given. It was like, that's what you do because my friends need saving. I thought that's just everything I love about Meg in one moment. So, what about you?
I love all the Clarence references. Just because, I grew up watching It's a Wonderful Life every year for Christmas, so it was really personal to me.
I obviously love that as well, which is why I've adopted it, and it's become part of my life and message. So, yes, I think that is a good call.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I've been watching you since you were on Guiding Light.
Wow.
You are a very poised child.
I don't know, okay, in case anyone doesn't know, I grew up acting, and my first job when I was 9 to when I was 15 was on a soap opera called Guiding Light.
But what I wanted to ask you was, when you got the script for Meg, were you told that was like a second iteration of Meg, that it was a recast, or did that affect how you played it?
I can't recall if I think they might have informed me, but the thing about auditioning is it's kind of full out and full time, and you're often hopping from job to audition, you're given a script or whatever. I read the scene, and I just loved getting to be Meg and say those lines, so I connected right away. But I'd never seen the show at that time. So even if they told me, I did get the thing about meat suits have multiple people, like the demon can hop into different meat suits, and that made sense to me. So I think they had told me something, but I did not know the phenomena that is supernatural. Because I think that would have made me really scared about reprising a role that was already known as someone else was associated with it, if that makes sense.
Well, we love Meg 2.0.
Thank you. Thank you, Meg. And I later went back and watched, and Nikki did such an awesome job, and I've since done conventions with her, and she's so much fun, and Jared did an awesome job too. But I think they did just keep writing Meg better and better. That's my 2 cents.
Hello.
Hey.
I am doing Mad Libs.
Awesome.
So I was wondering if you could give me an adverb.
I don't know what the context is or anything.
You're not supposed to.
Okay. I'm like, considering that's going to be the game, that I'm glad I'm getting the rules. Guys, give me a lifeline. I'm calling a friend.
Happily.
What was that?
Quickly.
Sparkly? I think I'm
Sparkly's good.
Sparkly and tickly, and so we'll go with sparkly. Because that is definitely, thank you for that. I love that. No, it's a perfect, I like that one.
Thank you.
Does that work?
Yes, that works.
Awesome.
Are we gonna hear it?
Do we get to hear it at some point?
Sure, when I'm done. I gotta ask.
Awesome. But I'm glad, because I'll be doing Mad Libs at Indy. So I'm excited for that. It'll be lots of fun. I'm going to do a supernatural version. Yeah. Hey.
Hi, Rachel. You're beautiful.
Hello. Thank you. Wait, I just want to pause for a second and say that you guys make me feel beautiful or less self-conscious or whatever it is. I don't look in the mirror very often. And so but I think that's a good thing. So I can believe you more readily. But I spent so much of my lifetime nitpicking, and I think most of us have, and picking apart and feeling always like I was horribly ugly. And so it became important for me at a certain point to just let go and not care about it anymore.
You make your own beautiful.
Thank you so much. And I think that my hope is to have a world more where we see the beauty within, and I think that is very true. Because I will say, and I'll be done in a second, I'm rambling, but I went to a performing arts school for a lot of kids who were working. So most of the kids I was going to school with were models and actors and musicians and dancers and whatever. I literally went to school with some of the most beautiful women in the world. And so but I got to see something too, which is those people that weren't very nice people got uglier as the days went on. The more you got to know them, it started to inform, no matter how beautiful their bodies were, you just didn't see it anymore. And the people that were really beautiful spirits, even if they didn't have typically, classically, per the rules, beautiful body, you started to see the beauty in them. And so that's the glasses that I try to use, the lenses I try to look at the world with. So.
And I think it's my question that I wanted to add to that. I was a bullied child, and my mother would always tell me that beauty is within. It was just horrible, but she said the beauty's inside you. And I never believed her, but as we go through life and learn and grow, we see it. So,
I think also there's a certain point where we did see the world that way. But I remember I had a ballet teacher when I was 2 years old, and I thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world. And I could go on and on about the princess stories, about how amazing she was. But I look back and I see pictures, and it's by the societal standard. She was overweight, and she had acne, and there was all these things that we never would have put her in that beautiful category. But she was so beautiful to me.
My question is this was supposed to go for 5 years, and obviously it's further. But there's so many bad characters that are on this show that people look at. And as you've been on soaps, soap characters will tell you, the demons or the evil characters on soap operas, they walk out in public and sometimes get things thrown at them, and they're not treated very well. But it doesn't happen with any of you guys because you're all so beautiful inside once again. Did you see this becoming what it is today, 13, 14 years later? And I mean, when you said, sure, I'll sign up.
No idea. So I'm just grateful, and again, it's it is what makes me believe in the magic of life. Is it just has unfolded in such a perfect way. So but I have no prediction of this. So yeah. By the way, I think there's a Misha something happening because I got to see the flurry, and I remember when I saw this schedule. I was like, this is going to happen. So anyone who wants to go see Misha, I love you. Say hi to Misha for me. Oh, I had a feeling that was going to happen. Anyway.
Hi.
And thank you for that. I don't know where you went. Oh, thank you. And I hope that you eventually found that your mom is being right and truthful. Okay. Yeah. Hey, oh, by the way, also, okay, I keep giving more into. No, all I was going to say is my mom used to similarly say I was bullied a lot when I was in grade school because I started working so young, and it's just odd when there's, like, because I was the actress or whatever, and I was really ostracized and bullied, and my mom used to say, they're just jealous, and I would not believe her at all, but looking back, I'm like, no, they were just jealous. Yeah. That's right. So you're just mom.
Hi.
Go on.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
So kind of following that up, I was wondering what your experience was with Gish and then your reaction to the item number that was so beautiful and involved you.
Thank you for that. First of all, I had so much fun. It was my first year actually playing Gish. I enjoyed it so much. How many people were playing Gish this year? Awesome. Yeah, no, it's just such a great game, and there were so many wonderful kindness items too. So that was one of the things I played on the Random X team specifically, and we're not allowed to win, just so you know. There's no like cheating, but we were really excited about doing all those kindness items and some of the silly things, like I painted with my nose and things, as you do. But that item totally surprised me. 119, I will never forget. Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, my friends at Gish did a really lovely thing. And they put out, one of the Gish items was you had to make me a unicorn or a fairy or some kind of magical creature. And so I was just getting flooding of pictures and say happy birthday. And so I was getting like a flood of pictures on Facebook and Twitter of me as various magical creatures, and it was magnificent. I literally, I'm not joking, I screen grabbed everyone that I saw and I put it in a file on like my iPhoto or whatever, so that if I'm ever feeling down and I need to feel better about the world, that I have all of your pictures.
Awesome.
So I it wasn't just like, oh, that's so silly or whatever. It genuinely was like, made me cry every time. Thank you guys. Hey.
Hi, Rachel. I'm really nervous. I've never done anything like this.
Oh, wow.
First off, let me tell you, to me and to most of us, or all of us, you're flawless. You're a beautiful human being.
Thank you for saying that. I'm just going to add something, which is that I really do believe that what we see in the world around us is usually more of a reflection of who we are than anything else. So if you were saying that or clapping for that or whatever, no, that's probably because you're a really amazing, beautiful person. FYI.
Thank you. Okay, my question is really hard because it's very personal.
Just so you know that I believe in that 100%, and you're totally in a safe place to do that.
Okay. When you eventually had to go to your scooter there,
yeah.
And you needed walking aids and such, did you feel awkward about it? Did you try not to do it? I mean, I'm asking because I'm supposed to be using at least a cane or some sort of walker, but I don't because I'm afraid of what people will think.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to transition into that, and if you had helpful words.
I will share all of it. Of course it's hard. And part of what goes back to what I was talking about, we need more representation, is that we feel somehow that it's going to upset people or stick out. It's really hard if you're introverted, which I'm a bit of an introvert, which is strange because I know I go on stage and talk to all of you and I'm an actor and all, but I actually am a little bit of an introvert, so I don't like a lot of social attention, which makes things like this really hard because people look at you and you always need special treatment, and it's not fun to get over. But the main thing that I was most scared of was that people were going to feel awkward or sympathetic, or that I was going to make them feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I finally realized something, and you know who helped me realize it was Stephen Hawking. He's someone I've always admired, and I suddenly realized, I was looking back and I was like, I've never had a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, that poor human that's like stuck in that body or whatever. I was just like, he's brilliant. Like, he owned it. I never felt sorry. And so I started to realize so much is what we're putting out in the world.
Absolutely.
And so when I get those sympathetic reactions, if I'm not sad and it's not awkward for me and I'm able to not make it like, I change that narrative. So even if someone's first instinct is to like get awkward about it, if I am able to make it a comfortable subject, they very quickly, it's not anything that catches their eye at all anymore.
Very much so. Well, my biggest problem is that I'm overweight, and you see those memes about people that use scooters that are overweight, and they're like, it's not a handicap, and it's like,
but
what's wrong with me?
But here's what I'm saying: let's rewrite that narrative because it's so wrong.
Thank you so much.
So, but it's really, I'm glad you guys clapped. It's really important because I have the same thing. And like whatever that thing that is labeled of like if you're using a scooter or if you're not able to get out of bed or whatever, that you're lazy and you're no good, and all those judgments are wrong and they're false and they're put on you from outside, and it's our jobs to change those narratives around. So, love you guys so much. You guys have taught me that and continue to tell me I'm valuable in the world still, and to come out to these events and all that. So that's a gift you've given me. And also, that is where Clarence was born, is this very dilemma. Because when I was scooting around, I would find no matter how open I tried to be, sometimes people would go, oh no, what happened? Like, because that's the natural reaction that we're kind of taught to have. And so now with Clarence there, people usually laugh. And I love that that's the first response I get, the giggle or whatever. And you generally, when someone is walking around with a unicorn on their screen, you don't think they're like having a bad life. So it helped to change that narrative around. So.
Hi, Rachel.
Hey.
I just wanted to say that when you came out and were so honest about your mobility issues, it really gave me sort of the impetus to start taking care of myself and walking, and I wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you. So much.
My question is in the show, we never really learned where Meg came from. She doesn't have a name. She doesn't have a backstory exactly, and I was curious if you had any sort of ideas of that.
For Meg? Well, first, okay, I'm going to go back for a second, because it's really important that, again, it's something that's really wrong with the world, that we're made to feel like we shouldn't step out in public, or there's something wrong with us because we use a mobility aid or something. We need to figure out how to show each other and people that we are totally, perfectly valuable members of society. And just because we're really bad at this one area doesn't mean we can't be good at something else. And that's true of everyone in life. Like, we've all got some things that we're good at and some things we suck at, and like whatever, and that just should be, a given that, like, it's totally got one area you need some extra help in. So I really thank you for being brave enough to be one of the pioneers trying to help other people learn that too. So yeah, just want to say. So and Meg. Well, I'm trying to remember. There's a couple things. So as like, do you mean her human or her demon?
I would say where she came from as a human, because it's been determined that she's rather old compared to other demons.
Yes, yeah. Well, as a human, there was like one time I was being tortured and I said something about her having been an actress, and I was like making some joke about that. I think from, where was it, Idaho or something? Like, it was like she'd come from the Midwest and she was trying to be an actress or something. So there's like a little bit of hint of her backstory, but I don't know much beyond that. And it was also a sarcastic Meg moment, so it may or may not have been true. And also we have like multiple dimensions of things, so there's lots of variables and options. As a demon, I know at one point I was really curious if she was actually half angel, because she used to call Yellow Eyes her father, but I think that he was her father in the respect that he helped to make her a demon, but not in that he actually, she was actually born of him, because if she was born of him, Azazel, in biblical history at least, was actually a fallen angel. So that's why I was very curious. But again, I'm just a nerd. I don't know the answers. The writers might know the answers. I just think it's an awesome question. Do you have any theories?
I do. I think that she actually came from Phoenicia. I think she's the Queen Jezebel.
I love that.
That hearing you say that you had kind of a similar theory made me really thrilled. So thank you.
I love that. Awesome. I think that should, I will now adopt that. So if I'm ever asked that question again, I'm like, choose Queen Jezebel. Obviously. Love that. Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Good. I'm sorry, I'm just really nervous.
No, it's fine. It's part of the nature of I know we've heard that a lot. It's the nature of getting up and then suddenly being at a microphone in front of a lot of people. It's kind of nerve-wracking.
So,
it's acceptable.
My question is, how did you get that line of "Save my boys in my unicorn"? Was it?
That came from the brilliance that is Robbie Thompson. I love, and I know, it was first born in that scene with Sam and Meg, which I really love, where she's saying that's one rare unicorn that made you give up hunting. And but she's like, I do kind of understand, which is a huge admission for Meg. So she was basically saying she feels that way about cats. And so that's how he got the name within that episode. It was all out of Robbie Thompson's awesome head.
Oh, I thought it was from you. Unicorns.
I just adopted it. It is now mine. I'm happy to adopt any brilliance that Robbie Thompson puts into the world. It's mine.
I was wondering how you prepared to play such an evil character.
What was the first part?
How did you prepare to play such an evil character?
By being evil. No, I mean, it's funny because actually for most of my career, I tend to play the baddies or whatever. I tend to play very disturbing people in society that have maybe gone off track. But I think the reason I like playing them is because no one walks around going I'm going to be evil today. That's mustache twirling, by the way. But no one in all of humanity does that. We're not like, oh, I am going to be the evil person. We always think we're doing the right thing. We have it justified in some way. So it's a really interesting thing when you play a character that is doing something that demonstrably is not healthy for humanity or the world. You have to kind of do the mental acrobatics of how did they come to the conclusion that this is the right way to live their life, that this is somehow justified. And so it's an interesting kind of mental exercise, and it goes into that thing of, as well as I really do try to come from a place of non-judgment and empathy, even if I can say, hey, that's not good, and I'll come down on someone if it's like for the bad of the group or something, but I still think everyone deserves to be understood. And I also love on Supernatural that there is really no black and white, good and evil. We're all somewhere in the gray zone, and we're just doing our best and we're figuring it out. And so you see how people kind of trip into maybe being less healthy and less good for themselves and the world. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Rachel Miner, how was it?
What's that?
How did it go?
It was awesome. This is an amazing group.
I know. It's an impressive group. They won't remember any of this, but it's an impressive gathering of people.
I think we just circled back to the beginning subject of this whole thing.
I'm sorry. I'm a one-trick pony.
I have a little story on that. So when I was in high school, I was not so much the user as like around a lot of people who were often on many drugs. So I would think I was like A, really funny, and B, I remember everyone was doing ecstasy. That was very popular in the 90s. And I thought I was like an amazing arm tickler.
Well, that explains your Instagram bio. Ladies and gentlemen, Rachel Miner! Not only one of the most charming people we are fortunate enough to work with, absolutely, but a precision driver. I swear to Pete, I thought she was going off the edge over here.
And with everybody watching too, I would have been.
I was standing here going, oh crap, she is high. It's just a breakneck speed. Yeah, I mean, were you not worried, or you?
I was impressed.
Yeah, but were you ready to? I mean,
oh, of course I was.
You were not. I was the only one having a minor internal panic attack.
Robots don't experience fear.
This freaks me out. They're staring at me the whole time.
This whole thing freaks me out. Usually these banners face you, but instead they're facing us. Like they're watching what we're doing, like they're looking doing upon us. Yeah, you doing it right? Are you doing it right? I don't like it.
I've got Pellegrino's eyes on me, and this is freaky.
I've got Rich.
You got, Pellegrino's got... He's sick of your shit.
Yeah.
And Pat Lucky, he's just undressing all of us with his eyes.
From the shadows.
He's undressing us with your eyes, and then Apple's looking at her going like, why are you undressing? Quit undressing with your eyes. And then Alex just looks like he's lost and doesn't know why he's here.
Yeah, that's just...
But that's because he's lost
yeah,
and doesn't know why he's here.